Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. A shout out to drone enthusiasts everywhere, and as always a shout out to all my friends at the Drone Seekers. Hey, I got the Hubsan Zino again today. So we recently had a firmware update on this guy. We updated to flight control version 1.2.05 and that was supposed to give us some information on batteries. Whether it would check your battery to see if there was a problem with it. As you may or may not recall, I was worried about my original battery. It didn't show any problems. And one of the issues I was having with my original battery is that I would watch it go from 100% down to like 60% very quickly, and then it would be more linear on the way down. So made me think there was a problem with it. So I've got that original battery in here again, and this time I've got a Venom Pro 4 hobby charger that I charged it with, so hopefully I got a little better balance charge on it. I also checked it with that charger. It's not the kind that you can measure the resistance across the three cells, but you could measure voltage, and the voltage was within like 0.02 between all three cells. So I'm thinking that the battery is okay, but in any case, hopefully we got a better balance charge on it, and I'm going to see how it goes with that battery today. But the other thing, and more importantly, that we want to look at is that last update also included a gimbal update, and that was that was version 3.0.2.8. And that caused a lot of problems with a tilted horizon. At least I'm thinking that's what caused that problem. And I know others have had the same issue. I know Peter Martin said that he rolled back to an older version and that cured his problem. So that's exactly what I did. I rolled it back to gimbal version 3.0.2.2. So hopefully that cures that horizon problem. But let's just put the little guy up in the air and just see what we see. Because of the snow here, I'm going to hand launch and hand catch, yeah, we'll just see what happens. Let's get it in the air. Okay, guys, we're waiting to get GPS signal. All right, I got 12 satellites. Yeah, there it goes. It finally told me we're ready to fly here. So let's start video. So video is started. Did that just the opposite of what I wanted to, guys. Sorry about that. I was thinking the button was on the other side. So holding the bird in my left hand, hold it out, and then I'm just going to press the launch button on the remote controller. So there we go. And boy, I'll tell you what, just the wind of the bird is cold. Let me tell you, it's cold out here. Trying to bring it around so you can see it here. Yeah, it's so bright, it's hard to see the screen on the phone, or on the camera. But anyway, we'll bring it in here for a look. Let me move the camera around just a little. Yeah, there you got it. Okay, let's do a quick yaw around here. And the bird's moving just a little bit. Okay, so my fingers are freezing. But the only way the touchscreen works is if I have... these gloves are supposed to have capacitive discharge on them, but they don't seem to be working very well. But anyway, let's do a reverse and up. So yeah, and I'm looking at the battery meter here. Same problem I've had with this battery in the past. It's showing at 65%, and that took just a take off for it to do that. So let's go reverse and up. Drop the camera there a little bit. There we go. So you can see we got a fair amount of snow here. It snowed quite a bit through the night yesterday and through the night last night, but like I said, it's supposed to warm up. So I'm looking at the horizon here now, and it looks pretty good. Let's yaw around a little bit and see if that changes. So looks like our horizon problem is solved, because that looks pretty darn good to me. Looks darn good. Let's raise a little altitude here. Boy, the drone is very responsive. Let's go out into the field a little bit here. Down to 52% battery. Sorry if I'm not talking too much, guys. I'm trying to warm up my flipping fingers. Kind of a winter wonderland out here right now. Okay, so let's, well, we can go a little further. How far? We're about, let's go out about 600 or 700 meters here. Get out over the field. And we'll turn around and look back. Yeah, about 675 meters. Good solid connection. So now if I'd have tried that same flight with the Parrot Anafi, I would have run into some Wi-Fi interference. The little Hubsan Zino just handles it. So typically a very solid Wi-Fi connection with this quad. Let's kind of cut the corner here and come back across the park. You can see a lot of construction going on 10 Mile Road, or yeah, that's 10 Mile Road, excuse me. They're turning it into a 4-lane road, and even, you know, even in this weather, they still got backhoes and everything else out there. I see, it looked to me like they were moving some power lines and so forth. Obviously, we're not going to go over the top of where they're doing that construction, but we'll get right back across here. That building down below there is where the groundskeepers keep all of their equipment, but we're not having that problem today. There's no lawnmowers out at Heroes Park today. So now you're looking at the battery now, and it's a much more, once it fell to 65%, it resumed a very linear progression in the way it drops. And we've been flying for about 6 minutes, so you know, I mean, I suspect we'll get 12 minutes or so out of this battery. So as long as I know that it's not you know, that it's not going to cause the problems that some people have had where they've had their drone fall from the sky, you know, I'm okay using it for shorter flights, right? Times when you're not going to need to be out there quite as long. And as you might recall the other day, even with my newer battery, I didn't get any more flight time out of it than I did out of this. So there we are down there. You got to see me standing in the corner of the little picnic shelter there, and let me tell you, my fingers are getting frozen. Battery level is at 40%. So let's we're going to go over here and take a look at the construction they're doing over there. Now we're not going to bother, and we're not going to go over the top of them. We're going to stay back a reasonable distance. But we can go over the pond there, and we're not going to bother anybody. Drone's going right over the top of me now. Drop some altitude here. back up the camera just a little. So right there, it looks to me like they're moving some power lines. Getting ready to widen the street out a little. Let's go ahead and bring it back here, and I want to try a, let's just do an orbit just for the fun of it. And I'll show you something that we can do with this drone that the Mavic Mini failed at. Okay, so we're high enough here that we're going to clear everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an orbit. If it'll let me here, our battery is getting low. Let's see here. Yeah, so we're using the transmitter as the location. Okay, that's what I want to do. Execute immediately. And we are going to speed it up. If I can get my finger to work. The slider is not working for me, guys. There we go. I had to take my other glove off to do that. So I am standing just underneath the picnic shelter here, and if we'd have tried that with the Mavic Mini, it would have lost me. As soon as it couldn't see me, the drone would have gone off on some circle that who knows. So yeah, I just thought that's interesting for you to know that, you know, being that this can do a GPS related orbit where it orbits around the RC. So let's stop that. Well, I want to actually bring it in before it goes into auto return, and typically, yeah, so it's done that already. So we're gonna stop that, cancel auto return, bring it back over. And bring it down a little bit. Yeah, it keeps wanting to go into auto return. Stop that. Stop it. That's kind of annoying. That it multiple times went into auto return even after I canceled it. But you can see the battery's dropping pretty fast. And part of that, I'm sure, has to do with the weather here, though. So let's bring it down here. We'll bring it into a hover. So, let me bring it in just a little bit here. So what we do is I like reaching up to the drone, grab a hold of it, and I pull the left stick down. Pull the left stick all the way down, and that shuts off the motors. The Zino is one of the easiest drones to do this with because it has that... I'm going to raise the camera up here on the Zino so it's pointed towards me. Because it doesn't have any downward facing sensors, it's not trying to lift back off from your hand, and because it's got such a big area to grab here, it is super easy to hand catch. So we got roughly 12 minutes of flight time out of that battery. So you know, clearly there's still a problem with the battery, or at least you know, I don't get the performance out of it that I used to, and you saw the way it dropped really fast. Like I said, the voltage between the cells is pretty frickin', they're pretty frickin' close to each other. So, you know, I just don't know. But I'm anxious to take my newest battery and get a couple cycles on it and see how much time I get out of that. The other thing to consider is the temperature here today. It's awful cold. But the drone flew just fine. You know, you saw the drone, and rolling back to that previous version of Gimbal Firmware definitely solved our problems with the gimbal. So I'm going to shut shut off recording here so I don't corrupt the video, and shut off the bird. Okay, let me set this stuff down and we'll have a few final thoughts. Okay, put my gloves on. I mean, my fingers are aching right now because of the cold, but a couple of things I wanted to accomplish today. I wanted to get a flight over the snow, right? I mean, that's always fun, and yeah, I mean, it was kind of a cloudy day, but it worked out okay. We'll see what the video looks like on the Zino. So I'm really happy with what we accomplished today. The thing that was bothering me the most was that tilted horizon. Rolling back to the previous firmware solved that. So here's what I'm going to tell you. If you are happy with the way your Zino flies today, do not update anything. Don't update any firmware. It's just weird the way Hubsan does this. You know, we had the troublesome 0.3.8 on the FPV firmware that caused us all those pulsing issues, so we all rolled back to 0.3.6, and that solved it. That older version that worked well, yeah, what was the point of upgrading that? And now with this gimbal firmware, okay, what was the point of that? As soon as we updated to it, we got that really awful tilted horizon, and I noticed also with that version of the firmware, when I would start the drone, the camera would be pointed straight up, and then it would take it a second to come down. So I don't know what was going on. That was just some weird stuff going on with that firmware for the gimbal. It was 2.8, and we rolled back to 2.2, and that appears to be good firmware and works well. Now, as far as the flight control firmware, I have no complaints. It seemed to work fine. So the 2.0 or is it 0.2.5, whatever it is, seems to work fine, and it's very stable. I mean, you saw the drone hovering here. I will say this, Hubsan has really improved the stability of the Zino compared to what it was in its early days. But I think anything above that firmware version 0.52 for flight control seemed to be pretty stable. So if you have that, I don't know that there's a lot of reason for you to update your firmware. Now, what we don't know is they say they're going to update the app, and when we get the update in the app, will it have new capabilities that need the newer firmware to work? Don't know that yet. So if we do get that, you might have to update your firmware. But if you're happy with the way your Zino flies now, I wouldn't mess with it. No reason to. So anyway, it was a pretty good flight today. I mean, we were only up for just a little bit, but we got to see some snow and so forth. So I guess that's about it. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. And most of all, I appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And we will see you on the next one. Alrighty, nice winter day. See ya.